Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate Martell from School Year Abroad. Thank you for joining us this morning at the SYA Admissions SYA Italy Google Hangout. Rachel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rachel Keaton-Kelly, Director of Admissions, and I'm really happy to be here this morning.
Great. And our special guest joining us from all the way over in Italy this afternoon, we have Brad and Grace and Michael. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure, I can start. My name is Brad Park. I'm the resident director here in Italy.
Hi, I'm Grace Lopez. I come from Friends Seminary.
I'm Michael Chandler, and I come from Lakeside School in Seattle.
Great. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about SYA this morning and have our students answer some of our most popular FAQs. And then we'll open it up to you guys. So if you have questions, put them in the chat box. And we'll do our best to answer them at the end. I'll be monitoring those here. So before we start and hand it over to the students, Rachel, do you want to give us a brief overview of SYA?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So glad you all could make it this morning. School Year Abroad is a program that is designed for juniors and seniors to study abroad their junior year. We were founded over 50 years ago. And we have been in existence for the past 50 years in France and Spain, and more recently in China and in Italy. And this morning we will be meeting with our Italy program in Viterbo, which is just north of Rome in a small medieval village, or small medieval town. In terms of the application and admissions overall process, we accept applications from sophomores and juniors for their junior or senior year. The idea behind School Year Abroad is that you're able to go away and not miss any part of your high school experience. You're able to re-enter as a senior or go on to college and get all the high school credits that you need in order to continue your American high school experience. So we have students from 140 different schools across the country this year, and we're really pleased that our programs are serving kids from all over the country, and we do have international students as well. So today we're going to talk to some of our students, as you met, Grace and Michael, and they're going to share their personal experiences in our program in Italy. At the end of the program and the questions today, we will run through the brief application process, just if you have any questions there, the deadlines and timelines and how you go about applying. And if you have more questions about the process, the admissions team is here based just outside of Boston, and we're here to answer your questions. So enjoy the program today. We have some terrific kids who are going to share their experiences with you, and we look forward to working with you through the application process this winter. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Rachel. So do you want to introduce Brad over?
Yeah, so my first, I'm really pleased to introduce Brad Park. He is had taught English for us from one of our member schools in Washington, D.C., Episcopal High School. And he loved the experience so much, he and his family, that they are now back in Italy with us. He is our serving as our resident director this year of the program. So Brad has some unique experiences, having worked at a member school and seen students come and go and come back from SYA, as well as working with Italy students in Italy. So I'm really pleased to be able to introduce him. Brad?
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. So I can just give a brief overview of SYA Italy specifically, and Rachel already spoke to it. We have a really diverse group of students, which is great, from all different walks of life, both in America and, as Rachel mentioned, we have one student from Singapore, from the Singapore American School, which it really makes for a really, I think, a neat blend of students and experiences and perspectives. All that form a community really have three different layers. So there's the community within our school, which is, there are 50 plus students here, and we have a really tight-knit community because we travel together, we go to school together. There's also the community in the town of Viterbo. As Rachel mentioned, it's a medieval city, and it has all the amenities you could want, but at the same time, it's nice and cozy. And so we really get to know the community members and, you know, the cafe owners and the restaurant owners and just the folks that we pass in the street going to and from school every day. And then I would say, you know, arguably the most important layer is the layer of the host families, because the students here live with Italian families. And every year the students say, you know, that was such a fundamental part of what I did at SYA Italy, because I really got to know another family. They became my second parents, my second set of siblings. I got to speak Italian with them every day and really experience the culture and just the way of life through that family experience. That third layer, I think, also is worth talking about a little bit, because it makes SYA Italy and all the SYA schools almost a unique hybrid of day and boarding, because you live away from home, but yet you don't live in the school. So, you know, you come to school to take classes, but yet you still go home to your own family every night. Now, of course, we have a host family coordinator who works very carefully to choose the families and who's available to you throughout the entire year to support you as you integrate into that family. The classes also, I think, are a unique blend in the sense that, as Rachel said, you're not going to lose a year by coming here, which is really nice. And we ensure that in the core classes of both English and math, you're taught by an American faculty member. So every year, every 2 years, an American faculty member, typically from a member school, but not necessarily, comes over to teach the English literature class, as well as the different math classes that you need to fulfill your graduation requirements. Whereas the other classes are all taught by Italians who have worked with American students for a number of years and are very familiar with the American school setting and the American school requirements, while at the same time adding their own blend from their Italian perspective, which I think is also pretty darn unique. And then just the last piece I'll talk about very briefly is the extracurricular piece. We offer a really wide array of extracurriculars that these guys next to me will talk about in a minute. And I think it's nice, particularly because we offer extracurricular activities that you couldn't necessarily pursue at your home school. So for example, we have a student this year who's a big lacrosse player, but we don't offer lacrosse. Lacrosse isn't played in Italy. However, what she's doing is, you know, she's taken several dance classes and has become really passionate about dance. I know that Michael and some other students have taken some Italian cooking classes hosted by some of our host mothers. We also have several students who actually go to my own children. They go to a local Italian school, and several of our students go there on Saturday mornings and teach those kids English. So I really see this year as a chance to grow in so many ways. Certainly linguistically, it's amazing to me that the kids come in not speaking a word of Italian for the most part, and by the time they leave in May, at the end of May, are conversationally fluent, and almost all of them who decide to take the Italian AP end up earning very, very high scores. So you grow linguistically, you grow from a global citizenship standpoint. You have an opportunity to try different activities that you wouldn't necessarily try at home. And then ultimately, I think, again, just to reemphasize, the bond that these kids form with their host families is just really, really special. You know, just last week, we had someone come back who had done SYA Italy 7 years ago, was staying with their host family and was so excited to be back. And, you know, those are bonds that really do last a lifetime, as well as the bonds that you'll form, again, in our tight community with your peers.
Great. Thanks so much, Brad. That was an excellent overview. So for those of you who are just joining us, if you want to add some questions in the bottom, we'll do our best to answer those after the Q&A. I already see a couple of questions coming in. But now we want to talk to the students. So Grace and Michael, if you want to reintroduce yourselves and tell us again where you're from. And then if you want to talk a little bit about why you ended up deciding to apply to SYA Italy.
I'll start. I'm Grace, once again. I'm from Friends Seminary. It's a school in New York City. It's very close to Union Square. I've been asked this question several times, and every single time I'm just like, there's just like this huge smile on my face because there's so many reasons, but I would say that I just felt I've always wanted and seeked for a tight community, and just being with a group of people that like care for me, support me, and like just are there to just provide so much love, and just who can be like, it's okay. And I thought like the minute I spoke to people from SYA, especially SYA Italy, I felt that community. I felt those people like just encouraging me to do my best. And I would say that like emotionally, that was one of the reasons I did it. And obviously all the culture that there is here, and just all those, like, it's just the perfect place to be if you want to travel Europe, throughout Europe, and if you want to travel throughout Venice and Florence and Rome. And you're so close to Rome, and just a 12-euro train ride and you're there. And it's just an amazing place to just grow mentally and emotionally, and you get all of these just an amazing place to be at the right moment, especially during junior year when it's so stressful. And I could easily be back at home stressing over, like, I think it's like mid-semester finals, yeah. And I could easily be doing that, but instead I'm here. And I just went to Switzerland last weekend, and it was so amazing. And
wow,
it's amazing that I get to say that. I'm just so thankful for everything that I've experienced. And it's all because of SYA Italy. I would say that's my reason.
All right, so I'm Michael Chandler, and I go to Lakeside School in Seattle. So about this time last year, an SYA representative came to Lakeside and presented their spiel on why we should go to SYA and like why it's an amazing experience. And she said that it's an experience of a lifetime. You're going to have opportunities that you just would never have, and that really kind of caught my attention. And so when I decided to apply, initially because I love to travel and also to meet new people, and I thought the host family aspect of SYA sounded amazing to create bonds between just new families and learn new cultures, or a new culture. And so once I kind of got past the part that it's like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to travel more and to experience new families and stuff, it really boiled down to like I am meeting new friends. And this one part of SYA that's just amazing is everybody's from like different places for the most part. And so when I met new friends, just like everybody's coming here with different experiences, and that's a very interesting aspect, that everybody's bringing different viewpoints to the table, whether it's in discussions or just in class, or when we're just walking around Viterbo. It's awesome. I love the new relationships that have been created since I've been here.
Great, thanks guys. Michael, you mentioned people from all over. We have, I think this year at SYA at our 4 schools, students from over 140 high schools throughout the US and abroad. So you're right, we have kids from all the way from New York City to all the way in Washington. So that's great, guys, thank you. I know you touched upon a couple of pieces, but so far, what's your favorite part about studying abroad? And is it the gelato?
The gelato is really good.
So good, so good.
There's a place like really close to school called Palazzo. It's so good. They put like chocolate on. Anyways, my favorite part.
Other than the food, which is obvious, what's your favorite part?
So extracurriculars are set up like, it's so great here. There's so many. It's such like a wide range of extracurriculars. And so I'm in soccer, so I'm taking, or I don't know, like I'm going to soccer practice, and we play with Italians every once in a while, 5-a-side games, and that's awesome. So we meet Italians through that, and also I'm in cooking classes, and I signed up for all of the cooking classes when I first got here. And so I had like, I think 5 cooking classes a week. And so I love to cook. And so when I came, that was also a big reason why I wanted to come to Italy to learn like how to cook better. So that definitely has happened through all these cooking courses that I've been taking. And like Mr. Park said, most of them are taught, or a lot of them are taught by host parents. So you're meeting more host families, and it's not like you're going to like a class at, I don't know, Williams Sonoma. I don't know if they have classes, but anyways, it's not like you're going to like one of those classes. You're like at a store, you're going to someone's house and learning to make like family recipes. That it's amazing. It's even further, you're going further into the culture, and it's awesome.
I totally agree with Michael. I took cooking class, I took salsa class, and I also tutor at Mr. Park's, where his daughter goes. And yeah, just all of these amazing little activities that you would never encounter. I mean, like and especially the part of like knowing Italians and like getting to know them. There are so many times where I've been walking down the streets of Viterbo, and all of a sudden I see someone from my salsa class. I'm like, oh my gosh, how have you been? And then I'm like, ci vediamo giovedì, and it's like, you know, we'll see each other like this next Thursday, and it's amazing. But I would say, like, aside from that, like, I've always been very passionate about coffee, and the cafes here they're just oh my god, they're so amazing. Like, everywhere you go, like, you know the baristas, they even know your order, like, you know exactly where to sit, and it's just like, it's basically your third home aside from your host family. But I mean, like, it's just an amazing, and they're always open in the morning. It's kind of like they're always there for you, you know, when you need some coffee in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the night, constantly. But I would say that, yeah, I think like meeting the Italian community and just really making them a part of your own little family, I think that's just the sweetest thing in the world. That's my favorite part.
Great. I can attest to that. When I chaperoned the summer students over, I was in Viterbo for just a couple of days, and I met Nadia at the coffee shop just up the street. And we had such a great time talking to her. And when my colleague and I left, we said, oh, this is our last day. She gave us a big hug. She gave us a tin of coffee each to take home. It didn't taste as good when I made it at home, as good as she made it. But just in a couple of days, it's absolutely what you're attesting to. That sense of community, even down to the baristas. So when you're not participating in extracurriculars in cooking and soccer, you're in class, school year abroad. We are a school. Do you want to talk a little bit about your classes, maybe what your favorite classes, or how your classes in Italy are different from classes at your home school?
Well, I would say that most of the classes are discussion-based, and I think that's amazing because, I mean, I think that classes at, you know, college are also very much discussion-based. But here it's more of like, you know, it's when you, as Mr. Perkins said, there are 2 English teachers and then the rest are Italian, which I think is amazing because they put a little bit of the Italian teaching style into their classes, which one of them is interrogazione, and it's one of the most frightening things in the world. Basically, they put you, like, well, they don't do this here, but we went to an Italian school, and this is an actual real thing. They put students in front of the classroom, and they ask them questions, and they interrogate them. It's very intense, but, I mean, I feel like a little bit of that, like, you know, this, like, special bond between teacher and student. It's very, like, family-like, and it's very, like, you know, conversational. It's never like, oh, teacher to student. It's more like, you know, friend to friend, which is a little weird, but it's really fun. And Miss Tutsi, especially, our Italian teacher, is amazing. But I would say math is definitely my favorite class here, just because our math teacher is amazing. His name is Mr. Boyce. Shout out to Mr. Boyce, he's amazing. And it just, all the classes here are just very enjoyable, and everything you learn in each class, I can definitely say that we definitely use it in our class trips, and like even when we're outside in Viterbo, like we use Italian every single day. Like, you know, all of the classes apply, which I think is how it's supposed to be.
Before Michael goes, I just want to clarify something for anyone who's watching. We don't do the interrogazione here.
We don't do that.
She was saying that she witnessed that when they spent 5 days at the Italian school. So there's a period of time when all of our students go to Italian school for 5 consecutive days to see what the Italian school system's like. But if you come to SYA Italy, or when you come to SYA Italy, we will not interrogate you.
We're not going to interrogate you.
And like also kind of going off the 5 days in Italian school, that was like such an amazing experience. Met like so many Italian kids. So that's another way that SYA Italy is kind of pushing us into the culture of Viterbo. And okay, so now my favorite class here is Italian class, and that's with Miss Tutsi, who is an amazing teacher. And a lot of the learning here at SYA Italy is in Italian is experience-based.
Mm-hmm.
It's most of the learning is occurring with your host families. And so when you go to class at mine's first period in the morning, you're kind of debriefing what's happened in the past 24 hours since last class, and like what do we need to work on to make our Italian skills better for dinner that night, so that we can further discuss whatever issues that like we couldn't discuss last night, whatever's on the news. And so it's I really love the way that you're learning through experience here. And I think one of the first like pieces of advice that I heard when I was here was like, if you're speaking with Italians and they don't laugh at you at least once during the conversation because of your Italian, then you're not trying hard enough. And so like, I think I just took that to heart, and like tried to just push myself out and to be able to try and speak with everybody. And so then going back into class with Miss Tutsi, having just so much experience teaching teaching Italian to kids who speak English, it's just, she's great at what she does, and she allows us to succeed in the language.
Great, thanks guys. Just a quick note for those of you who are just watching our chat this morning with SYA Italy. If you have questions that we don't address, feel free to put them in the chat box below, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. So let's see, we've talked about classes, we've talked about extracurriculars, host families. What is your host family like? Michael, you mentioned that you have some intense discussions with them at dinner. What kinds of things do you talk about? What's the structure like? Is it different from your home life back in the States? Do you want to talk a little bit about our host families?
Yeah, so host family is probably one of the most amazing aspects of Italy. I think I mentioned that. But it's it's just getting another viewpoint at dinner. I don't know if like I have dinner time discussions with my family at home in America, and with these you're getting one viewpoint for your whole life. And when I transitioned into this Italian family, I have a sister who goes to college in Rome, a brother who goes to college in Pisa, and my host parents. And so my host brother doesn't really show up that often. We don't see him too much, but my host sister we see multiple times a week. And so we have these discussions, whatever is on the news, whether we're talking about immigrants or like what their viewpoint on immigrants is. It's completely different to many viewpoints in the US, and how they see gun control was a big one that we had, and just interesting deep discussions and seeing what their ideas on the issue are. And it's not just like I'm creating a familial bond with them, not just like I feel a part of the family so much as like my family at home, and they'll like scold my sister in front of me, and it's like, oh yeah, now I'm a part of the family. They're like they don't care if they embarrass Greta in front of me. It's like I'm part of the family, and that's just like it's great to see that like I've created this bond between me and my family, and the relationship will last a lifetime, like what Mr. Park had said earlier.
Well, the minute I met my family, once again, Lenore is just amazing at choosing the students' host families, but just like the minute I met them, they were just the sweetest people on earth, and I felt this instant connection of family. And I remember like everything, I think it's a process of learning, like, for example, like when to turn off the lights, because this is a very important thing, like always turn off the lights when you leave the room, or like never take long showers because that's a lot. But it's like little things that you get to know the people that you live with, and they get to know you. Like, for example, my host mom makes marmalade, and every single dinner I will eat marmalade. It has become a problem. but I mean, like, my host mom knows that, and when I come back from a big trip, she's like, all I see on the table is just like a plate with some toast and then marmalade to the side. I think it's one of the sweetest things, because you get to learn about Italy and its culture and the people and everything that's so beautiful about Italy with real Italians. And I think you, like, just as Michael had said, you build this bond, and I don't know really how to describe it without actually experiencing it for yourself, but I think it's just this just bond that you immediately feel like you eat with these people, you talk with these people, you share all of these wonderful experiences that we'll forever remember with these people. And I think, for example, I feel so close to my host sister, and I actually have a real sister and a biological sister, and I feel like the same amount of love for both. I take salsa with my host sister Camila, and it's just so fun, and we always make jokes about the students in our class, and it's amazing, and it's so fun. And I think it's key. I think it's key to the SYA Italy experience, because you could easily, when you travel by yourself, you can go to Switzerland by yourself, you can go to Italy by yourself, but it's not special unless you're with people you love and the people that will want to make you happy, and you want to be happy with them. And it's just this amazing, amazing family that you create here.
Thanks, guys. Brad, do you want to just talk for a quick minute about the host family process? We have host family coordinators in each of our schools who are in charge of placement. Do you want to talk for just a minute, or maybe Rachel, you could chime in too about that process?
Sure, I could talk about it. The process of placing the students really starts with the application process, and when students fill out their applications, and then once they're accepted, they fill out obviously a number of forms, including forms that talk about what you like, what you don't like, what type of family you come from, what type of family you'd like to go to. And then we take all that information, and that's driven, as Kate said, by the host family coordinator. And because she knows the families so well, because I would say, 90% of our families have been hosting for many, many years. She knows them so well, and she knows what they can offer and the type of student that would best fit in their family. I'll say too, one of the things that impresses me the most if you go back to community, is the city of Viterbo loves us, and we love the city of Viterbo, and we have a waiting list of host families. And so, we have more host families than we have students. So we really, I would say we pick the cream of the crop, and we get folks who are hosting our students for all the right reasons, because they're passionate about Italy. They want to share the culture. They want to share the language, because they have children that they want to experience the American culture through our students, and maybe they want their children to learn some English. They're just really warm people. I would say Italians in general are warm people. As Michael said, you're not trying hard enough unless they laugh at you. It's always good natured, and they are so incredibly gracious when you try to speak Italian, that it makes it really comfortable to put yourself out there and learn the language. And again, I think we do such a good job of matching up personality types between our students and our families, that more times than not, many more times than not, it's the reaction is the one that Grace described, where people go in and, you know, within a week, it's like, I'm calling my parents, my host parents, mom and dad, and you know, it actually confuses me a little bit, because they'll say, oh, you know, I can't stay after school for this meeting today because I'm going to go watch my brother play soccer. And I'm like, your brother's here? No, my host brother. Oh, right.
We always have to clarify.
Yeah. And so the fact that, you know, the fact that teenagers use that language that early in the program tells me we're doing a good job placing kids in host families.
We always have to clarify when we're with friends. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go like Mr. Park said, to my brother's soccer game. And it's like, wait, which one? It's like, we're always, you know, getting confused because of that. But like, that's how close we get.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, sometimes when we're talking to friends and like your actual biological family, oh yeah, my real sister, or like my real, I'm like, what? And it's like, oh, because, you know, your family here is actually your family. You have to clarify all the time. Like, are you talking about your sister back home, or are you talking about your sister here? Like, it's really funny. But I think definitely that's key. And I think an important thing to mention is that these host families really, really want to be your family. It's not just, for them, it's not an obligation. For them, it's just like this passion that they have for wanting to share a little bit of their lives with you. And I think that's so important, and just really important to mention.
Great, that's really sweet. Thank you, guys. For anyone that's just joining us, we have a couple more questions for our students in Italy, and then we'll turn it over to you. So be sure to put some comments or questions in under the chat box, and we will do our best to get to them. Grace, you had mentioned that you were just in Switzerland. Do you guys want to talk about what your favorite trip has been so far? Either a school trip that was a longer trip, or one that was just a day trip?
I was in Switzerland with my two friends, Catherine and Karen, and it was amazing. It's actually my first independent travel trip, and I would say it was by far the best. I mean, we get to be alone, yes, but I feel like I think this just the whole independent travel thing. There's just so much trust between the SYA faculty and the students, and just it just brings all, and this just makes you so responsible because you have to plan things and everything. But the trip itself is just an amazing experience. You get to see Europe with your own eyes, without all those restrictions that come with, you know, oh, I have to go with my family, and like I have to do this and that. Like you kind of like, it's like you get to be with your friends. It's this once in a lifetime opportunity. It's amazing. It's just amazing. For example, I'm in Switzerland, and you do things that are unexpected. You can't plan it. For example, we were in Geneva, and we were walking around the main square, and suddenly the day that we came, like they were setting up a carnival. And we're like, oh my gosh, you're setting up a carnival, it's so great. And we didn't know that it would open the next day. And the second day we were walking again on the square, and then it was open. I mean, we went on so many rides, and it was so fun, and it was amazing. And I don't think that would have, like I could have gone to a carnival anywhere else. But I think because it was in Switzerland with my two best friends, and just this amazing experience that you can't plan, which is what happens with most trips, especially if you're with your family or with someone else. But these are like little things and these little moments that you cherish. I think that's what's so amazing, because you get to do it with people that you just met, and like it's just amazing. I really can't explain it. It's great.
Okay, so my first independent travel was last weekend as well, and it was to Florence. But I would say that my favorite trip that I've done since I've been in Italy has been our northern trip, and that was a school trip that we did. And so we started out our trip and went to Arezzo, which is a small town it's in Tuscany, and that was just a day. And then we went to Milan for the expo, and we were there for a couple of days, and it was amazing to be able to experience just like the scale of the expo, and how it's countries from all over the world and people from all over the world to come see this. And it's like, it's an amazing amazing opportunity for us as high school students to be able to experience this. And it's like to see all of these different countries come together to try and, the issue this year was hunger and feeding the world, and to come together and to share food. Also, again, on food for me, that's going to be an overarching theme probably for me. But so anyways, it was just an amazing experience to see this little mini city of these pavilions that have been built by each country and that show the cuisine of the country, and also what they think is the solution, what their solution is to solve hunger.
Great, thanks. Could you, maybe you guys and Brad, talk just a little bit about, for those of you that are watching who don't know about the Milan Expo and kind of what the concept is behind that? It's being featured in Italy this year.
Sure. So the World Expos essentially are world's fairs where, cities, it's almost like, I guess a parallel is almost like hosting the Olympics, except it's a lot longer than the Olympics. So it's typically about 9 months. And Milan hosted this international expo. It started last spring and it wrapped up at the end of October. So we were fortunate enough to go the last 10 days. And in what Michael's describing is countries from all over the world, over 100 countries came. And it's essentially their opportunity to do two things. One, to celebrate and share their culture, their language, their customs, their food, as Michael really appreciated, with anyone who comes to visit the expo. And then also to address a central theme or question, which again, this year's was, what can we do as a global community to address the issue of hunger in the world? And so it was really thought-provoking to see how different countries and different perspectives tackled and addressed that problem. It was really fascinating. And then also the expo, each country builds their own pavilion. And for me, one of the most interesting takeaways was walking down the street, essentially, because as Michael said, it's like they created a city, and seeing all the different architecture that each country put into display and represent either symbolically or metaphorically or even literally what their country stands for or what drives their country. So some of those were just really, really neat. So that was a part of the Milan trip that Michael spoke to. And then also we spent a lot of time in Milan doing various activities. Of course, we went to the Duomo. One of the neatest things we did was we met a group of Milanese teenagers and from a school, and we were at an art gallery, and our students and their students did this project together. And that was really special for me to see, especially because it was fairly early in the experience. And again, to see our kids putting themselves out there and using their Italian, and then hearing the Italian kids respond in their attempts at using English. It was just, I don't know, to me, it was a real cultural and linguistic exchange that, again, you're not going to get that sitting at home in your French class or your Spanish class. Just chances are you're not going to have that opportunity, at least not at that scale and in that scope.
Kind of going off of the Italian, meeting the Italian kids in Milan, that was probably the highlight of my Milan trip. My friends and I, we stood up and volunteered as one of the first groups to go with to start our project with one of the Milanese high school students. And after that, we just made great friendships with all of these other students, and we still talk. And that was a couple of months ago that we did this, and that was an amazing experience to meet more kids. And so when my friend and I are actually planning a trip back to Milan to see them again, and so that'll be a great experience, and just meeting more, experiencing more culture outside of the classroom is a big deal.
I think that making friends is one of the best things that will happen here. Is just they're just so funny, and they like they have like this humor, and like it's just amazing. I have so many new Snapchat friends, which is great. But yeah, it's just like, you know, you, like Michael has said, like these bonds that you create just because you're in a different city or something doesn't mean that you can't meet them again, especially like during the independent travel period.
Great point. I'm so excited for you to go back to Milan and meet your friends again. So I have one more question, and then we have a couple of questions in the chat box. So if you were watching this last year when you were on this side, now that you're on the other side of the screen, what advice do you have for someone who's considering SYA? What would you tell yourself a year ago?
Don't be scared.
Ooh,
Do it. It's awesome. Like, it might seem kind of menacing leaving your family at home and like going into a completely new culture with new people and new family and new whole class. It's the most amazing experience in my life. Don't hesitate when submitting that application. It's awesome.
I would say you're going to love it. I think, just as Michael said, just go for it. That's just the best advice. Like, don't ever be afraid. Don't think that that's you know, it's scary and everything, you know, because you're gonna love it. It's kind of when you see something new and it's amazing. It's this new experience that really you have to experience, you know. It's just, don't lose that opportunity. Don't let it go.
Great, thanks guys. So we have a couple of questions that have come in from the audience, and I know that you guys have already talked about some of the extracurriculars that you're both participating in, but Brad, maybe do you want to talk for just a quick minute about the extracurricular coordinator that we have at each of our schools? I know you mentioned soccer and cooking and things like that, but you just want to talk about that process and what the process is for someone that wants to do an extracurricular when they get to Italy.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it's important to point out that you're not on your own figuring out what offerings exist. And so we have, as Grace just whispered, Dave. Dave is a great guy, and he is the extracurricular coordinator, and he does a fabulous job, I think, in two ways. First of all, because he's been here for 10 plus years, he's established relationships with so many people in the community that he already has from day one when kids arrive in Italy. He has a menu of options. You know, if you're interested in cooking classes, if you want to do horseback riding, if you're interested in singing in the town choir or taking clarinet lessons, or we have a student this year who's taking drum lessons for the first time, or if you want to tutor, you know, he has all of those lined up already. So he does a great job promoting those, sharing information with the kids, saying, hey, if anyone wants to go check out this gym today, or if you're interested in doing Zumba, I'm going to take a group of kids down this afternoon to meet the folks, see the space. So he does that really, really well. On top of that, I find it really, just really amazing, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that he's so open to student suggestions too. So sometimes students come and say, hey, we really want to start an a cappella group here, or we're really interested in, you know, I really want to go hiking, you know, and he'll say, oh, wow, that's a great idea. We haven't had anyone do that for a couple of years. Let me get on it and see what I can do. So, or let's work together to figure out how we can make that happen. And again, I think that, at least from my experience working in a number of independent schools, that's fairly atypical. Usually it's like, hey, this is what we offer each season. You choose what you're going to do. Whereas this is sort of a hybrid, again, of these are the activities that we've offered in the past, and you're welcome to do them, and we encourage you to do them. But also, if you have an idea, let's figure out a way that it can happen for you and or other folks. One other activity I think is worth talking about is Dave started a number of years ago this international exchange club where about, I think, 15 Americans and 15 Italians come to school. What is it, once every couple weeks?
Like once every Thursday, I think.
Yeah. And they come, and they get in a room together, and he says, all right, you guys, the topic of this week is film. Talk about the differences between Italian films and American films. And then he just sort of steps out of the way and the kids talk. Or he'll say, you know, this week, let's talk about food. What does it mean? What do meals mean here in Italy? What do they mean in America? So again, it's this really rich exchange of ideas between Americans and Italians that I think leads to friendships again, and just leads to greater understanding. And that seems to be the underlying thread, I think, that connects all of our activities here, because almost never are you doing an activity exclusively with Americans. In fact, I cannot think of one. So whether you're going to the gym and working out, or you're taking horseback riding lessons, or you're doing a cooking class, or you're getting, you know, guitar lessons from an Italian guitar teacher, you're using your Italian language skills and building on those skills while also learning either a drastically or slightly different approach to whatever it is that you're pursuing as an interest or a passion.
Great, thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
So we have another question that came in, and Brad, again, maybe you can talk about process, but Grace and Michael, I know you mentioned that you've both traveled independently already so far this year. So Brad, do you want to talk about maybe the process of independent travel, kind of when that's available to students, and sort of what they have to submit in order to be approved for independent travel?
Sure. Yeah, and I think Grace, when she spoke about independent travel, she said a key word, which is trust and responsibility. And I think that is huge. You know, first of all, independent travel does not happen right off the bat. It doesn't actually happen until about November. And there's a really clear process that is outlined for the students, and that we walk them through in an assembly in front of all the student parties here. And then ultimately I have to sign it. And then ultimately the big sign off is your parents at home in America. And so we ask the same questions that your parents would ask if you were saying you're gonna go somewhere for the weekend. Who are you going with? How long are you gonna be there? How are you getting there? Where are you staying? So it's a really thorough process that I think Grace also mentioned something really, really important, is that it grows your responsibility tremendously, in the sense that we don't plan these trips. You plan the trips. You have to figure out where you're going to stay, and you have to make the reservations, and you have to figure out your travel means and how you're going to get there, what time you're going to get back. And so independent travel, I think, to me, is one of the most rewarding aspects from an educational standpoint that we offer here. And even some of the calls, my phone is always on, and some of the calls I get, even when kids are on independent travel, like last weekend I had several calls from different students saying, I missed the train, what should I do? Maybe one of those calls is from Michael. And so, it's a great exercise for me to say, you need to figure it out. I'm not in Florence with you. You need to figure out what are you going to do that you missed a train? Okay, we looked at this. There's this other train. We could take this, but then that means we're going to get into this other train station later. Well, okay, how are you going to get back from there? And so problem solving, real world problem solving that comes out of the independent travel, on top of, sort of the magical moments, as Grace said, with the carnival that happen when you're traveling with friends, I think makes independent travel an incredible responsibility, but also an incredible reward for our students as well. And then just, for those folks who are listening and watching, we do also take a number of school trips. As Michael mentioned, we took a trip to Arezzo, Milano, and Bologna. And then in the spring, we're going to go on a 10-day trip down to Sicily, which will be really amazing. On top of all the day trips that we take. So, for example, just yesterday we went to Orvieto for the day as a school and explored the different classical and art history and Italian layers of that city together. Mm-hmm. So lots of travel.
Great. Thanks, guys. I think we have time for one more question, and this is for Rachel. And I know Rachel wants to talk about deadlines and how to apply. We had a question about how students pay for the program. So if you want to talk about financial aid deadlines and scholarship deadlines and things like that?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that question. So in terms of the admissions deadline piece, we have 2 application deadlines, and the first one is February 1st, and that is for our Merit Scholarship Program. So we offer, we're in a very enviable position that we have 4 merit scholarships of $20,000 each for each of our countries. So for those students who are interested in applying to Italy, there will be 4 merit scholarships available at $20,000 each. And if you're interested in applying for those, and we encourage everyone to apply, that you should get your application in by February 1st. We also have, for those students who qualify, we have a very generous financial aid program. Over about half of our students are on financial aid, and financial aid is obviously grants that your family must qualify for. So merit scholarships are not financially need-based, but financial aid is need-based. So families need to fill out a financial aid application. That deadline is February 15th, and all of the information is on our website on how to apply. We do encourage families to apply for financial aid and not tuition as a that's weird. Okay, not the tuition as a barrier, but rather use the financial aid application as an opportunity to consider this as a real option. But just knowing that it is need-based, and that we do have more requests than we're able to meet the need of. So between the Merit Scholarship Program and the Financial Aid Program, again, we have over half of our students are on some form of aid with our program. The general deadline is February 15th. If you missed the February 1st deadline, that's okay. You can get your application in by February 15th. We will be reviewing applications. We send decisions out at the end of February and in early March. So we let you know as quickly as we can. The application process is very similar to applying to an independent school. We ask for teacher recommendations, transcripts, an interview, an essay, and the whole process is outlined online. The whole application is online. As I said before, our admissions team is based in North Andover, Massachusetts, just north of Boston, and we are more than happy to answer questions and work with you through the application process. That's what we're here for. So for those of you on our Hangout today who have questions, we will be here starting Monday morning and happy to answer those questions and, like I said, work with you through the application process. You can reach out to us via email at admissions@sya.org, or you can email me, rkelly, K-E-L-L-E-Y, @sya.org, and I'll make sure your questions get answered.
Thanks, Rachel. And I'll put that contact information at the bottom in the chat box for any of you who would like to get in touch. So that just about does it for us. For anyone watching, make sure that you like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. We're SYA Admissions. And follow us on Instagram at School Year Abroad. We get all kinds of photos from our campus reporters in each of our 4 countries who are constantly posting the gorgeous, amazing things that they're doing there. So for a great feel for what our students are doing, check those out. And also you can find a recording of this on YouTube if you want to watch it again or share it with your friends and family or your parents over break. So thank you so much to SYA Italy, Grace, Michael, and Brad. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us. And we hope everyone has happy holidays and start your applications. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays.